Have you ever wondered why some people seem to run away from love? Like, they want to love and be loved, but for some reason they struggle to connect with others at an intimate level. Well, in today's video, I'm going to try to offer an explanation for this using a theory that was developed back in the late 50s in hopes of giving you more insight as to how we develop as children and how it ultimately impacts the way we love and connect with others. My name is Leo Esquivel, and I'm a professional counselor associate that tries to keep mental health simple and practical to apply to your life in hopes of improving your mental health. If you're interested in this type of content, please consider liking and subscribing. Now let's get into it. You see, we were all designed to love. Why we were designed that way is certainly a question that brings me a lot of curiosity. However, one thing is for sure in psychology, and that is the need to love and be loved helps us to develop systems at a very early age that help us to connect with others at an emotional and social level. Someone that was very interested in these systems and how they worked was a British psychologist by the name of John Bowlby. In the late 50s, he decided to observe children and how they connect with their mothers. But more specifically, he wanted to observe how children reacted when they were separated from their caregivers. Obviously, if you've been around children for any amount of time, you know that if you separate a young child from their mother or their caregiver, they usually will begin to feel afraid and anxious and they start crying. However, John Bowlby wanted to see what would happen if you continuously separated a child from their mother or their caregiver. What he quickly realized is that young children develop what is called a secure base provided by their mothers or their caregivers. This secure base allows a child to explore their environment and learn new things. However, whenever they're met with a little bit of fear, a little bit of anxiety, they know that they can go back to their mothers where they have that secure base. Over time, this helps a child develop confidence because they're able to explore their environment and go back to safety whenever they need it. As they get a little older, they become more independent. And as they become adults, they venture out into society. And Bowlby referred to this as proximity seeking behaviors, right? And by proximity seeking, meaning that they seek their mothers whenever they need to feel safe and try to avoid some of that fear or anxiety that's building up. This research ultimately helped him develop what we know as attachment theory. If you've ever heard about this, you've probably heard that there's different ways that we attach to other people in hopes of creating intimacy and that closeness that we seek in the people around us. His attachment theory suggests that there are four models that we usually learn at an early age that help us connect with other people. The first model is a confident attachment style. This is when a caregiver is very present and very consistent in providing care to their child. Like I said earlier, if they feel secure enough to go back to their parent whenever they feel unsafe, then this ultimately teaches a child to have confidence. And later on in life, when they start to develop their relationships, they know how to trust and care for others. Another model in this theory is anxious attachment. An anxious attachment style usually happens when a caregiver is inconsistent or neglectful with their child, and as a result, they end up feeling a fear of abandonment later on in life in their relationships. The next one is an avoidant attachment style. This one usually develops when a caregiver is emotionally unavailable or very dismissive. An example of this could be maybe a parent watching TV or on their phone, ignoring their child while they're trying to seek attention from their parent, right? Some type of acknowledgement. An avoidant attachment style will ultimately cause people to have a fear of true intimacy. True intimacy is the ability to develop trust, closeness, and vulnerability with other people. The last one is a disorganized attachment style. This usually results from very traumatic caregiving, right? It can be parents that may be struggling with addictions or some type of an abuse. And this usually results to people being very reactive and very emotionally unstable, right? They can have an episode of anger that they don't know how to control. And more importantly, they don't develop the tools to be able to manage different types of crises in their lives as adults. Okay, now that you know the different attachment styles, we can begin to ask ourselves, which one may have we developed over time? Like I said earlier, all of this is developed early in childhood, meaning that the relationship that you had with your caregivers at an early age is what is impacting and influencing your ability to connect with other people as adults. Oftentimes, when I talk to a client that is really struggling to build intimacy with not only a romantic partner, but with their family, with their friends, with their coworkers, I want to go back to the beginning and find out what the relationship was with their caregivers. I know that there's a lot of people out there that had very traumatic pasts, didn't have the best of examples by their caregivers. And it's not because they didn't care, but more often than not, it's because they didn't have the tools to care for you the right way. You see, there's no such thing as a perfect parent. And although a lot of us may strive for perfection, it really is unattainable. A lot of parents use the tools that their parents gave them. And if you really think about it, if there are parents out there or a single parent that wasn't equipped with all the tools to care for others, then they're going to make some mistakes. However, the good news is that even if you had a rough childhood and you had a lot of traumatic events that influence your social connections today, you can still change this and build better connections later in life. Now, I'm going to be honest, it is going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort to undo some of the systems that we learned as a child. However, I've seen it happen over the years, and I find a lot of encouragement in being able to help people get to their destination, especially if it's trying to connect more with the people around them. I've said this before and I'll say it again. The quality of our relationships determines the quality of our life. This means that one of the biggest predictors of having good overall health is having good quality relationships. If you had a relationship with your parents that caused you to be anxious, avoidant, or disorganized, know that it can be reversed. The very first thing that we need to do is improve and increase our self-awareness. The more we know, the more we will be equipped to make better decisions. And the great thing about putting in work in this area is that, let's just say that you struggle with something like anger, which is very common in some of these attachment styles. Maybe you're used to living with anger for a couple of days after you get into a fight with a loved one or something bad happens at work, etc., right? Increasing your self-awareness will help you to go from being mad at this person or at the situation for 4 to 5 days to maybe 15 minutes and then moving on with your life, right? Now, this does take time, but once again, I want to offer some encouragement here and let you know that it is very possible. Another thing that self-awareness does is it helps you to add more tools to your utility belt, right? You know, those of you that are into superheroes, you know how Batman has that belt with all the gadgets? Well, some of us may have that belt, but we don't have a whole lot of gadgets. The more self-awareness that we have about how our systems affect our relationships, then we can add more tools to that belt. One of those tools may look like setting boundaries, implementing self-care, learning how to heal, and the list goes on and on. Once you increase your self-awareness and you add some tools to your utility belt, then you can start to build stronger and better relationships. Just keep in mind that no relationship is perfect. Relationships are very reflective. And these are opportunities for us to figure out what we are doing right and some of the things that we can still improve on. And if you've been struggling to connect with others, or if you're struggling to build intimacy, just know that with time and with effort and with the right tools, you can improve in this department. Listen, we were all designed to love. We're all worthy of love. And with the right amount of work, with the right mindset and the right perspective, you can always strengthen your relationships and improve your quality of life. If you have a person in your life that is a little difficult to love, don't give up on them. Continue to work on yourself, continue to extend those olive branches, focus on the things that you can control, and hopefully over time, they will be inspired to do the same. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I always look forward to reading any feedback that I can get so that I can hopefully improve my videos and keep adding more value to your life. Leo, checking out.